Attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, and good day. Really hope that you're doing well and having a productive week so far. We really appreciate you carving out some time today to hang out with us and learn a thing or two about the awesomeness that is marketing automation. I'm Chad Collette, I'm the Director of Marketing here at LedGu Partners, and obviously this is one of my favorite webinars to host. I admit, I do get a bit jazzed talking specifically about ClickDimensions, a marketing automation solution that's fully integrated with Microsoft Dynamics CRM, and it's the solution that we utilize here at LedGu Partners each and every day. In fact, it was an integral part in marketing this webinar, and I couldn't even imagine doing what we do without it. I kind of look at it like an old-fashioned PB&J sandwich. Separately, they're both really good, but together they become amazing. And you got two pieces of bread, some peanut butter, and some jelly. What are you going to do, make two sandwiches and eat them separately? It just doesn't make any sense. And the same can be said for keeping your marketing automation solutions separate from CRM. Putting them together just makes so much sense, and just meant to be, just like PB&J. And I know we got a wide variety of people on the call, and I want to launch a quick poll to kind of get a gauge of how you're currently utilizing marketing automation at all. So if you just take this quick poll and check all that apply, if you're doing anything from an email marketing standpoint, your nurture campaigns, web tracking, surveys and forms, or lead scoring, see what you're kind of doing. And as you're doing that, I just want to do some basic housekeeping and start by answering probably the most asked question during any webinar. Is this webinar being recorded? And the answer is definitely yes. As a follow-up, you receive an email from us with a link to access this webinar on demand at a time that works for you. We encourage you to watch it again, share it with others in your company and in your network. Also, to achieve the best audio quality, we have everyone in listen-only mode. But we do encourage questions, and if you have questions at any time during the webinar, you can enter those via the question pane in your GoToWebinar control panel, and we'll address those at the end as we have time. If by chance we don't get to all the questions, we'll make sure to follow up offline. And before I introduce one of my favorite partners and our presenter, Megan Berner from ClickDimensions, I'd like to take a brief minute to introduce our company, LedGu Partners. I know joining us today we have several of our current CRM customers who are very familiar with LedGu, and I want to thank you for your business. But we also have a lot of people who may not know LedGu. So let me give you just a quick dime tour of who we are. The very best way to see who and what LedGu is all about is to go to ledgupartners.com and watch our quick 90-second video. We had a ton of fun making this video, so I hope you really enjoy it as it reflects our company, our passion, and our culture here. And don't worry, no one was harmed in the Velociraptor attack. Oops, little spoiler alert there. You know, at LedGu Partners, we live and breathe CRM. In fact, CRM is all we do. When LedGu started back in 2007, a conscious decision was made to not be all things to all companies, but be very, very good at one thing, customer relationship management. But the key is the R in CRM, helping organizations figure out how to build great relationships with their customers. That's what really trips our trigger and is reflected in our 98% customer retention rate, our favorite statistic by far here at LedGu. I know what really trips Megan's trigger is talking about marketing automation, and I want to thank everybody for their responses on that poll. Looks like a lot of people are utilizing some email marketing and some surveys, but really nobody for lead scoring, web tracking, or nurture campaigns at this point. So with that, I want to introduce one of our all-time favorite partners and your host for the next 45 minutes, the always smiling and super energetic Megan Berner from ClickDimensions. Megan, you ready to talk a little marketing?
Absolutely. Thank you, Chad, and I appreciate you inviting me to join you today. One thing I want to mention about LedGu Partners is they are a ClickDimensions Gold Certified partner, and for the past 3 years, they have been our #1 U.S. partner. So a great partnership we have with LedGu and work with many of their clients. So again, thank you, Chad, for including us today. So as Chad mentioned, my name is Megan Berner. I am the Regional Sales Director here at ClickDimensions. Today we're going to talk a little bit about taking your marketing to the next level, and really as Chad was talking about the PB&J example, the convergence of dynamic CRM and marketing automation and how those two concepts can work together. We'll walk through a series of examples today of marketing campaigns and activities done directly within CRM using ClickDimensions. And I'm going to talk through really 4 specific points today. So first of all, lead generation. How can you get some new leads into your system? Once you've got those leads in your system, how do you market to those in addition with your existing contacts? Once you generate interest, what does that handoff to sales look like? And then after your campaign is executed, how can you track and measure some of the performance of that? So before we get into the main content, I want to talk a little bit about ClickDimensions as a whole. What ClickDimensions is doing is we're actually bringing email marketing and marketing automation natively into Dynamic CRM. ClickDimensions is 100% dedicated to Dynamic CRM, so we don't have a standalone product where we are, 100% of our customers are running the solution. Now, the features that you see in the screen here, we'll be taking a look at several of these today, again, right in that CRM environment. Now, ClickDimensions itself, as I mentioned, 100% dedicated to Dynamic CRM, and we are actually the highest ranked solution out on Microsoft's Dynamic Marketplace out of all third parties. Now, for those of you who are not running the latest version of Dynamic CRM, ClickDimensions does work with those older versions. Anybody that's on CRM 4.0 or higher can use ClickDimensions. We work with online, on-premise, or partner-hosted, so any make and model of Dynamic CRM, ClickDimensions can be a great option. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So first thing I want to talk about is a little bit about how the role of a marketer has changed today. So, gone are the days where marketing can do, just single email blasts and try to, send the same message out to everybody. What we've found is, with the evolution of the internet and the information being at everyone's fingertips today, research is showing that buyers are usually about 2/3 to 90% of the way through the buying cycle. So think back even to the last time that you were at the electronics store. The people out on their mobile devices doing research before they ever even talked to a sales rep. Imagine how that translates into your own business. So that has really shifted the way that a marketer needs to operate, because we need to be getting the information that our consumers need to see out to them in an accessible digital format before they necessarily raise their hand and engage with your team. Research also shows that a lot of times leads are not completely, leads that are qualified aren't completely ready to purchase yet, which brings in some of the nurture marketing where we need to continue to keep our message and branding in front of those prospects as they continue to work through that buying cycle. So you'll see through the presentation today how ClickDimensions, in conjunction with Dynamic CRM, can really help your company to keep updated with some of the changes in marketing strategies over the year. Now, what I typically see people doing before they move to this new concept of marketing automation is they're using a variety of outside tools. So many of you today are likely using Dynamic CRM to manage your accounts, your processes, your leads, maybe more on the operational side of the house. We find the marketing team is kind of stuck using several outside tools. So they'll be using one tool for email marketing, a separate tool to monitor their website, a separate way to get form data into CRM, or a lot of times I actually see that having to be manually typed into the system. Now, of course, the problem with this approach is a couple different things. First off, as a marketer, you need to work out of several different tools to accomplish your job. You have separate silos of data that don't talk to one another, very difficult to run any analytics, show performance on your campaigns, but also very difficult to share that information across your team to a sales user or to management or to an analyst. So ClickDimensions is taking a very different approach to what traditionally has been done in a lot of marketing roles, where we've actually captured all of that marketing technology together. We've housed that within Dynamic CRM. So again, ClickDimensions, slightly different approach, where our technology is actually built out in the cloud. We're built on Microsoft Windows Azure. It's a zip file that gets imported into your CRM to allow sales and marketing to now work out of the same tool. And again, as I mentioned, ClickDimensions is built natively into your CRM, so it will actually pull right into that CRM menu. You can see the screenshot here is the newer version of CRM. If you are still on CRM 4.0 or 2011, it will pull right into the menu, the marketing section, on the left-hand navigation pane. So again, let's jump right in and first talk a little bit about lead gen. So how are we going to start generating those net new leads and get them into your CRM system? So again, there are many different lead gen models. Today we're going to focus specifically on online ad campaigns, content marketing, and list imports. So here are a couple examples of some of the online advertising that ClickDimensions does. So whether you're doing banner ads, keywords ads, social campaigns, the goal of online advertising is to drive additional web traffic back to your website. So here again, you can see some examples of some pay-per-click ads that we've done. By using ClickDimensions, the solution will track all of that web activity back into your CRM system, regardless of how they got there. So all the direct visits, all of the online ads pointing back to your site will be captured. So let's take a look first at how ClickDimensions is tracking that visitor information. Now, likely when somebody first comes back to your website, they're going to be what we call an anonymous visitor. ClickDimensions is going to create a visit record inside of your CRM, which we'll see in a few minutes here, and track that visit information. So we'll know how that person got to your site, what pages they looked at, how long they were out there. Then we take the IP address that that visitor comes in from, and we automatically do a reverse IP lookup, providing the company name and the location. Now, at this point, that visitor is still identified. So we would know, for example, somebody from ABC company is on my site coming out of Milwaukee. I don't know who it is, but I know where they're coming from. This is where the cookie-based tracking comes in. So when that anonymous visitor hits your site, we're going to put a cookie in the browser of their device. That cookie then becomes identified when that visitor either completes a web form or clicks on an email that you've sent them. So if there are people that you're already engaging with, that email click will then recognize the visitor. All of that history then moves to their contact or lead record. So now having that flow of data, so all the way from initial interest through becoming a recognized contact or lead, marketing and sales both have visibility into that information. And then of course, as we qualify that, we're able to measure the engagement, we're able to sort by lead score, and some of the things that you'll see through the presentation today to now take that lead and convert that into a sale. So let's actually jump right into the live environment. I'm going to be showing a lot of examples right in the live environment today. So again, here you can see I'm in the marketing section of CRM. ClickDimensions works with the contacts and the leads and the marketing list that you already have in your system today. And then we add in these green entities. So these are all the ClickDimensions fields that we'll be taking a look at. So here you can see I'm in the visit section. So these are those visit records that we were just talking about. So Marcella, Brad, Jake, those are my identified visitors. The other visitors are those anonymous levels. So again, those people that we did the IP lookup. So for example, here is a group coming out of Minnesota. I don't know who it is, but I can see that visit information. And then as we talked about, each visit is going to show you what type of traffic that came into. So I'm going to switch views here for a moment and limit this to just the visits coming in yesterday. So again, not all the visits that have ever come in, but just yesterday. So here we can take a look at where this traffic is coming in from. So here I'm going to grab the CRM chart pane. Now this chart pane is the native charting capabilities that CRM offers, but it's utilizing the ClickDimensions data because, again, we live natively within Dynamic CRM. So here I can see very visually now yesterday where a majority of my traffic came in from. So you can see we get quite a bit of search engine traffic, a little bit from direct, small piece of the pie from social. What I love about CRM charts then is I can interact with them. So I can drill into just those social visits and see exactly where those social visits came in. So you can see quite a bit of traffic from Twitter coming in yesterday. This, of course, then allows you to track the duration of visits coming in from various sources. You can see here I've got a column showing the duration of time as well as the score. So we're scoring each page that that web visitor is looking at. So now that we're starting to generate some of this web activity, we want to capture that visitor information. This is where content marketing starts to come into play. Now, Oftentimes when people are using things like paid ads or social ads to drive traffic back to their site, they're utilizing a landing page. Here's an example of a landing page that was actually built right inside of ClickDimensions. However, we can connect to landing pages that you may want to host on your site, or if you're driving that ad traffic right back to your website rather than a landing page, again, we can track that the same way. So a landing page, the real purpose there is a page that has a single message and a single call to action without a lot of extra navigation. When you get people to a page, you want them to do one thing: download a piece of content, register for a webinar, fill out a quote request. So here you can see I've got a web form on this page. This form is going to write that data right back into CRM and ClickDimensions. So if I were to fill out this form, it's going to bring that data back into CRM automatically. So that will come in as a record called a posted form. Now keep in mind, this same form record can be used for things like a contact us form on your site, as well as things like content downloads or more lead building activities. So you can see in this particular view, I narrowed this down to say, show me just the forms that came in the last 6 months. So I have a little bit smaller volume of data to work with. When a new form is submitted and pulls into your CRM system, the first thing that's going to happen is it's going to look to see if that individual is in your system already. If that person exists in your CRM today as a contact or a lead, it's going to merge that form submission or that content download to their existing record. For net new visitors, it's going to create a brand new contact or a brand new lead. All of this information can also be linked back to a campaign. So through the presentation today, we're going to be talking quite a bit about marketing campaigns. What I'm referring to is the native campaign record that you all have access to inside of CRM today. That campaign record today allows you to put in planning activities, budgeting, campaign responses. You can associate your marketing lists. ClickDimensions works with that same campaign in the fact that any emails that you're sending out, web forms, resulting web visits, all of those components can be tied back to that same campaign, allowing you to track things across multiple mediums and really do some great analytics. So here again, I'm going to grab that chart pane and show another example of forms coming in by campaign. So here I can see the top campaigns that web forms are coming in from. So you can see in the last 6 months, our ebook download has been the highest source of new campaigns. Now, the web form itself, as I mentioned, was built right inside of ClickDimensions. To do that, ClickDimensions provides a great drag and drop interface. So we really have designed this product with a non-technical marketer in mind. We don't want marketing to have to rely on the IT team every time that they need to execute a campaign or build a web form. So you can simply go right into this form designer, drag and drop the fields you'd like to include on the form, and then just plug that into your website or to your landing page using an iframe code. I also want to mention here this Actions tab, if you see in the middle of the screen here. Anytime that a new form comes into your system, so they're downloading a piece of content, they're signing up for an event, they're downloading something, we want to have automated actions happen after the fact. So we can do things like an automatic responder email thanking them for their inquiry. We can send notifications out to your team internally. You can add them to a marketing list automatically. So again, those actions happen immediately as that posts into your system. Now, there also may be times where you need to import a list of leads into your CRM system. So let's say, as an example, you go out to a trade show. You've got a booth there, you scan the people that stop by. At the end of the event, you get that big list of all the leads that stop by your system. We need to get those into CRM. Some of those leads may be in your system, some of them may not be. ClickDimensions has a brand new feature that actually just came out Monday of this week. So any of you that may be currently using ClickDimensions today, you may not have tried out this feature yet. This new import wizard will allow you to take that list of leads from an outside source. So maybe that's a trade show list, maybe that's a list that you've generated somewhere else, or even If you're moving an existing marketing list from your email tool today into Dynamics, great option for this. It's going to take that list, bring those into CRM. If that contact or lead already exists in your system, you can have it update any missing fields, but it's not going to create duplicates for those individuals who are not in the system. We'll create a new contact or a new lead, and then we can do things with those once they get into the system. So we could add them to a marketing list automatically. We could remove them from a marketing list. So maybe you have a list of cold leads, you import a new list, and then you can transfer those contacts to a different list. A little bit later, we'll also talk about the event entity within ClickDimensions. You can also import those lists as an event participant record. So again, a really powerful feature. Really excited that we just added that to the product this month. All right, so now that we've generated some new leads, we've got some great data into the system, let's talk about how the marketing team can now target and nurture those. So in this section, we're going to talk about 3 real specific types of campaigns. A bulk email, like a newsletter, a special offer, or targeted campaign. A nurture campaign, which is more of a drip or style campaign, as well as some events. So again, first off with the emails, I do want to mention with ClickDimensions, we can handle a variety of different scenarios when it comes to email. Of course, the bulk email, I want to send one email out to an entire marketing list. I'll show you today how we're sending individual emails directly from a contact or lead record. We can also incorporate emails with workflow. So for those of you who are running CRM today, you probably have used workflow quite a bit, a CRM process that allows you to take actions based off of triggers that happen in your system. So a record being created or a field being changed. Again, since ClickDimensions is built natively into the product, we can use those together. So opportunity record closes, maybe you want to send out a thank you email. As you go to build your emails within ClickDimensions, we have 4 different email editors built into the product, 2 no-code options for those of you who don't want to have to think about the HTML behind your email. We've got the freestyle editor, which is your more traditional, what you see is what you get editor. Or for those of you who may be more of a graphic designer, we do have that custom HTML editor, which will allow you to take HTML from an outside source. So maybe you want to build your emails in Dreamweaver, plug those into ClickDimensions for sending. I'll also mention that all of these email editors will allow you to preview what that email is going to look like. So you create this wonderful content. You can see how it's going to render in a variety of inbox types. We'll run a spam test, letting you know if there's anything about the content that is likely to get caught up in junk folders. Now, when we take a look at bulk emails, they usually fall into a couple different categories. So again, something like a newsletter, a monthly communication, or a bi-weekly communication that you're going to send out providing your existing customers, your prospects, information, valuable tips and tricks or alerts. We look at something like a special offer or a very targeted email. So when we start talking about more targeted communications, I do want to talk a bit about dynamic content. So what dynamic content is doing is creating a single email template, but having it rendered differently based on data that you're storing within the CRM system. So in this example, I've got a very simple example where we're promoting 2 different magazines. It's referencing the gender code back on that contact record. So if we email to men, they're going to get the promotion about men's health. If we email to women, they're going to get the promotion about women's health. So again, think about how you can start to do some of this in your business today. Maybe you're sending out a promotional offer to existing customers, and based off of what products they own today, you may recommend different products. We can do that within a single email template and just have that data rendered differently. So let's go ahead and we'll jump into CRM again. And we're going to talk a little bit about that bulk send. So again, what we're doing here is we're using the marketing lists that are native within CRM. So you'll build those marketing lists to target and segment based on whatever criteria you need, whether it's demographic or firmographic information that you're storing within CRM or marketing data. Maybe you want to pull a list of all identified contacts that looked at a specific page on your website within the last 2 weeks. Then we're going to send out that email that we've created. To do that, we create a record called an email sent record. This is where you determine who the email is going to, who it's coming from, also where we capture the aggregate results. So to do this, you'll go and you'll select the email you want to send, tell us who it should come from. I also want to mention that we can send emails out on behalf of the CRM record owner. So if you've got a sales team or a relationship team that manages the relationship between your company and that end recipient, the from person can change dynamically, have that more personal touch. You can tell us when the email would go out, and here you just simply attach your CRM marketing lists. Since ClickDimensions is native within Dynamic CRM, there's no need to import or export your lists. Any list that you create is immediately ready to use. There's no sync time needed. Now at this point, we're ready to send the email. Couple optional steps before sending. You can test the email. That will run a spam test. It will also send a copy of the email to anyone that you specify in this field. Second option is A/B split testing. Actually, I want to talk a little bit about this feature because I find a lot of marketers are not doing A/B testing today. What A/B testing is doing is allowing you to send out 2 versions of that email to a test group so you can see which performs better. So very frequently people will do subject line testing. I send out the same email, but I'm going to modify the subject line slightly to see what captures people's attention. You could also do testing on who that email comes from. Do I get a higher open rate if it comes from our CEO, or do I get a higher open rate if it comes from the rep that they're used to talking with? Or you can change the email template completely. So here I'm just going to change this subject line and hit next. So very simply you can select your test group size, tell ClickDimensions if you want to measure success on opens or clicks, send out the email, and ClickDimensions takes that from there. So it will measure that performance, send the winning version out to the rest of your marketing list. So again, very easy way to start doing some of that split testing on your campaigns. And then after the email has gone out, all of the data is tracked right back into CRM. So here we can see the aggregate results, the open rates, the click rates, any bounces. And again, this data is structured in your CRM system, so you could run workflow alerts off of this. You could include this in a marketing list query, or you could do any advanced reporting. Maybe you want to break the click report down by geography, product line, sales rep, giving you a lot of flexibility there. All right, so the next scenario, so we've talked about sending a bulk email, something like a newsletter or a targeted offer. I want to talk a little bit about nurturing. So imagine those contacts that are qualified, but they're not ready to buy today. In that case, we may want to send out more of an automated or a drip style campaign. So the nurture program here, you can see I've got the builder right here, will allow you to set up a flow of emails that we're sending out to an individual. So I can send somebody an email, wait a week, and then I want to know if they interacted with it. So did that recipient take my call to action and click on the link? If they did, maybe I consider this qualified, so I'm going to notify sales and send this email. But if they didn't click, I'm not going to forget about them. I'm going to send them another email, wait a bit longer, put in that same type of branch. So now I can start to build out that flow of my campaign. And again, you can just click on the settings that will allow you to specify what you're sending, who it comes from, same as we did on that bulk send. Now, a nurture program like this can be kicked off to an entire marketing list like you would do perhaps after an event. You can add individuals one at a time. So a sales user could add somebody to a nurture campaign, or you could take that new lead that came into your system from a web form submission and again kick off that to a nurture campaign. So very, very powerful feature, really allowing you to set up that automated or drip style campaign. So I want to talk about an actual real specific campaign that we have been running at ClickDimensions internally. So earlier we saw the ebook that we had talked about. So I had the landing page where people could download a piece of content. We actually run a nurture campaign then for those recipients that download that piece of content. So after they receive that email, or excuse me, that piece of content, we wait a couple days and then we send them an email saying, hey, what did you think of the ebook? And then we'll, again, put those branches in. And then we begin to market to them some different pieces of content. So if you downloaded one piece of content, then maybe it will suggest a second piece of content in that other email, and then we can put some other call to action. So you can see in this example, we'll talk about a webinar, we'll talk about signing up for the newsletter, which will then continue to nurture this person for a period of time. If they take certain actions, then that alerts the sales team. If they don't take those actions, then they just continue on down the line until they reach the end of the nurture program. So the last scenario that I want to review for our marketing team, before we talk about how sales can now prioritize and engage with these leads, is around events. So many organizations today do events, whether it's an in-person event or a webinar like we're doing today. So ClickDimensions has built in an event management entity. So this particular feature can be used in a couple different scenarios. So first off, we can integrate with a webinar, just like we're all doing today. If you're doing any in-person events, this feature also works with Eventbrite. So you can manage your event registrations. So what we've actually done here is we've built an integration between ClickDimensions and a couple outside providers. So for webinars, ClickDimensions will work with GoToWebinar as well as WebEx. For in-person events, as I mentioned, we work with Eventbrite. So all you need to do is link your login credentials for your webinar tool to ClickDimensions in the settings area. After that, everything is set it and forget it. So you create your new webinar inside of GoToWebinar or WebEx. This event record is automatically created. All of this information pulls in from your webinar tool when you set up your event. Now, as people register for your event, so when all of you registered for this webinar today, you went into the system as a record called an event participant. So this will show all of the people that registered for this particular event. These are linked to the individual contact or lead record. So I could go into Erin's record, see everything that she's registered for, attended, missed. After the event is done, the webinar tool provides a lot of reporting. For example, who attended, who missed, how long they were in session. All of that information then gets updated in this record. So here you can see that Erin registered. She was in session for 46 minutes, where Chrissy registered, but she didn't actually make the webinar. So now this information is accessible to any CRM user. I can query on it. I can do some follow-up emails. So after this event took place, I could send one thank you email to the people that attended, but I could send a very different version of that email to the people that missed very, very easily. Now, again, we didn't hit on every feature involved in the marketing automation piece today. So again, here's a slide kind of talking through some of the features that we didn't get to today. But now I want to switch hats for a moment. So now that marketing has generated some leads, communicated to the database, we want to engage with the sales team. So here we're going to talk more about how a sales user can track engagement, prioritize leads, and communicate with these qualified leads. So again, we're going to go back into CRM, and my favorite part of the presentation today, we're going to pick on Chad. So this is Chad's contact record, and I think many of you know Chad, who did the introduction today. This is the same contact record that you are all using today. ClickDimensions doesn't change this contact record, we just add some menu options. So here I can go into Chad's record and I can see everything that Chad has done. Now keep in mind this is the same record that your marketing user will use and the same record that your salesperson uses. So now we can bridge that gap between sales and marketing. When marketing hands off a lead, sales can actually go in and see that history, they can see how it's qualified. So I've known Chad for a long time. I've sent him a lot of emails. He's gotten 59 emails from me. And they were all delivered. He opens about half of them, and then you can see where he's clicked. We're also assigning point values to all of this. So every time that Chad clicks on an email that I send him, every time that Chad goes to my website, every time that Chad fills out a form on my site, we give him points. So that's starting to build what we call a lead score. Now think of the lead score as an engagement score. So the more people interact with your marketing and your website, the higher their score is. So now a sales user could easily go in and prioritize based on that score, or perhaps you use that score as a threshold from when it sits in marketing's bucket to when that gets moved over to a sales user. As I mentioned, we can see the web traffic. So here I can go in and see specifically what Chad has done. So Chad is pretty active on my website. I can see the IP where he comes in from. I can see what he's doing, how many pages he's looking at. I can actually even see the actual page titles. So, there may be a scenario where I see Chad poking around on the site. Maybe I want to give him a call, see if he has any questions. Maybe he's looking for something specific and I can provide some assistance. So here we can all see Chad's web tracking. Now all those forms, surveys, the events are all tied to Chad's record. And then what we'll do is we'll summarize that on the profile. So if a user wanted to go in and just get a real nice summary of interactions with that individual, this is where they would go. The bottom right-hand corner here shows a recent news feed of his interactions. You can see the latest form that he filled out. And then the top piece here shows me two things. First, it shows me Chad's total lead score, so all of the points that Chad has accumulated over time. This is also where we have the social discovery. So what this does is on all of your contacts and leads, it will go out, look for them on things like Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Google+, pull in a link to their profile. So here you can see it found Chad on LinkedIn. If I click here, it takes me out to his profile. So I can see if we have any mutual connections or read a little bit about his role. And then it will pull in their picture. So this is Chad's picture on one of those accounts. Now I'll also mention that from Chad's record, I can interact with him. So I could add him to a nurture program that we just spoke about, or I could send him an individual email. So I can go in to this quick send feature, and here marketing has pre-selected some templates that a sales user can use. So I can go in here and I've got 10 emails to pick from. I can say I would like to send Chad this email, select it, pulls in that email. You can see we merged in Chad's first name, so I don't even have to go in and type that in. Hit send, or I can actually open this and maybe add a line. So thank you for your time on the phone today. It was great to meet you. Save it and send it. Any changes that a sales user makes at this point only change the version going out to that recipient. It does not override the existing template. Now, since this data is structured within your CRM tables, it can be viewed at the individual like we just saw on Chad's record, but it can also be visible at the aggregate. It can be queried. So again, I want to talk through another example. Here I went into the contact section. So again, same contacts menu that you have today. And all I did is I added a column to show the total lead score. And I used advanced find. I said, show me just my contacts. So just owner equals current user. And then I sorted them by lead score. So now I have a picture of all of the individuals that I'm personally working with. Sorting by lead score, you can see again, Chad is number 1 at the top of my list. But here's a nice list of all of the individuals that I'm personally working with. Same thing with the web traffic. So earlier we took a look at more of the aggregate level tracking. Here I can very easily see just the visitors assigned to me within the system. So I know real time when my customers or my prospects are on the site. Now all of this information could easily be put onto a CRM dashboard. We could set up alerts or notifications to really keep that sales user up to date on what's happening with their user-owned records. Now, one more example that I want to talk through in the sales section here is this feature here called Inbox Cast. Now, this doesn't have to be exclusive to sales. A marketing user could use this particular feature as well. But what this feature is allowing you to do is send a plain text email easily out to a marketing list. So again, I wouldn't use this Inbox Cast feature for your very templated newsletter style communications with a lot of graphics and tables. More, again, as a plain text email. In this scenario, you don't have to use any email designer. You go right into Outlook, type up your email just like you would if you were going to send it to an individual. But rather than sending it to an individual, we're going to broadcast that out to a CRM marketing list. To do that, every marketing list inside of your system will have an inbox cast button on the toolbar. What that does is it generates a unique email address that mails to that particular CRM list. All your user needs to do is put that email address into the to line of their email and then hit send. On the back end, this email has now been reproduced inside of your CRM, sent out through ClickDimensions, so it's trackable. You'll know who opened, you'll know who clicked, you have all the same analytics as any other email send. Now to the end user, or excuse me, the end recipient, it's a very personal looking email. We can merge fields. So again, it looks very personal, but it is that bulk communication. So now that we have generated some new leads, we've communicated to our database, we've engaged the sales team, we want to be able to measure the performance of our campaigns. So as we've seen through the presentation today, ClickDimensions works with the native campaign record within Dynamic CRM. The campaign in CRM, again, allows you to create planning activities, associate your marketing lists, do some budgeting for those campaigns. ClickDimensions gives you the ability to link all of the components of your marketing to that same campaign record. So things like your emails, your forms, your surveys, landing pages, and that resulting web traffic branded back to the campaign. So let's take a look at a couple of examples. Again, we're going to jump back into CRM. And let's take a look at leads. So again, this is my leads entity, same as that you have today, but these leads were generated through campaigns that were executed by ClickDimensions. When we set up this campaign, we linked the email, the form, the landing page, all of those various components we linked to that campaign. So when that new lead gets brought into the system, that campaign is the source campaign for that particular lead. So now I can easily measure where these leads came from. So again, I'm going to go over here and grab that chart pane that CRM has and take a look at these leads by source campaign. So here you can see in the last fiscal year how many leads were generated from each of the campaigns that I was executing. Very easy to now start measuring that performance. Again, we can use this in dashboards. So for those of you running CRM today, you're probably intimately familiar with CRM dashboards. Here's an example of an email campaign dashboard showing performance on one specific campaign. Or in the case of ClickDimensions, we do a lot of that content marketing that we talked about earlier. I have another dashboard showing me trends. So from the various pieces of content out there, and actually, sorry, I clicked on the wrong view. How many of those different content pieces are being downloaded each week? Are they trending up? Are they trending down? You can see in this particular piece of content, we had a real big spike this particular week because that was the piece of content that we were attributing to our paid ads that particular week. So again, very easy to now have that the campaign information all right within your CRM system. Now keep in mind these are the same campaigns that you use on opportunities, so you can easily now start to track some of that closed revenue back to source campaigns as well. So one thing that I do want to mention is we put together an ebook specifically on tracking your marketing ROI within Dynamic CRM. So if you want to learn a little bit more about how you can start tracking the return on investment and running some of those more detailed analytics on your marketing campaigns, I suggest you go out to clickdimensions.com/ROI and check out our ROI ebook. So today we've talked about how you can get some net new leads into the system. Once they get in there, how marketing can start engaging with them to hand off to sales, who will then convert that into a closed opportunity ideally, and how we can start to measure some of that campaign. Again, all done within Dynamic CRM, within a single tool, full visibility to both sales and marketing users. Again, we talked a lot about content marketing today. Here are some of the various ebooks that ClickDimensions has out there. I suggest, if you're learning about marketing automation, this is a new concept, go out, check out some of our ebooks. We get a lot of great tips and tricks, a lot of scenarios, how-to guides within some of these ebooks. Be a very, very great resource as you're planning your marketing strategy. Again, we didn't cover on everything that ClickDimensions has to offer today. If you have further questions or you'd like to do more of a personalized presentation for your team, I am happy to help. My contact information is here. You can also reach out to anyone at LedgeView that you prefer working with. And at this time, we can open it up for some questions.
Thanks a lot, Megan. Really appreciate it. If anyone does have any questions, please feel free to put those into your GoToWebinar control panel. I do also want to remind you that we will be sending you a recorded version of today's webinar, so watch your email for that inbox. It'll be coming to you from us utilizing ClickDimensions and Dynamics CRM. In fact, our template's already built and your names have been dynamically populated within the marketing list. So the only manual task that we do have is uploading those recordings. It's an amazing time saver and allows us to be timely in the follow-up to this webinar and any events you're holding. I know personally prior to using ClickDimensions and Dynamics CRM, living in a disconnected world is just crazy, and the amount that you can accomplish with a fully integrated tool like this at your disposal is just beautiful. So there was a question came up saying thank you, it's very informative, and what you showed said, how does this compare to CRM 2015? Was your instance in 2015, Megan, or were you in 2013?
Yeah, I was showing in a 2015 environment today. Everything that I showed you with the ClickDimensions piece is not natively available within Dynamics CRM. ClickDimensions is the add-on that can help execute some of those campaigns. So again, working very closely with Dynamics CRM.
All right. Well, Megan, thank you very much. We really appreciated the time you took today, and I hope everybody learned a little bit. And again, contact Megan for a further thing, because there's a lot more you can learn that's deeper within ClickDimensions. So thank you, everyone, and have a fabulous day.